Hello, everyone, and welcome to another episode of Underneath the Hood. I'm Dave Martin, the owner of Martin's Auto Repair in Central Phoenix.
I'm Glen Hayward, the proud owner of Goodworks Auto Repair in sunny Tempe, Arizona.
And I'm Lee Weatherby with Accurate Automotive in the heart of Mesa.
And together, we represent 140 years of combined automotive experience.
Our goal is to change the perception of our auto repair industry by going behind the scenes and underneath the hood.
And we hope to share with you what it's like to own a small business and give you a perspective from an insider's point of view.
So let's get started. Good morning, guys. How's it going?
Morning, David. Morning, Glenn.
Lee, David, great to see you guys again.
Yep.
See you, brother.
Good to be here in your divine presence and company.
Yeah, another great podcast, and we look forward to these things every time we get together. It's a great experience. And it's a lot of fun.
It is.
Really is.
We try to make these podcasts fun, so if we're throwing in these little snide comments, so just enjoy them. Just,
Well, we're not going to make any money off these things.
We're not trying to make it. Well, we don't want this to be like a dialogue of serious, stuff, because otherwise there's no fun in it at all. There's no fun for us. There's no fun for the audience.
Well, like we've talked about behind the scenes, the real design of this is hopefully we can educate, some people that gives them, something of value that they can utilize,
right.
in whatever they're doing with their automobiles or maintenance or even life itself.
And something we're doing new with the podcast is we're starting off with this day in history. So I'm going to start this off. This day in history, April 15th, tax day in 1964, a young school teacher named Gail Wise bought the very first Ford Mustang convertible. Now, the caveat in this whole thing is that car wasn't due to be released by Ford officially for 2 more days. And so she's eyeballing this thing. That's what I want. That's and they had some on the truck that hadn't even been put down into the dealership's parking lot, and some in their lobbies, as they oftentimes used to put cars in the lobbies to show them off, right? And so they errantly sold her this car 2 days early, which made this kind of a second historical thing. Not only was the car brand new to the market, but also the fact that she got hers 2 days earlier than the rest of the world was pretty cool. So this 22-year-old school teacher from Chicago, Illinois, and of course I mentioned in a previous podcast that the Mustang actually came out and was presented at the World's Fair in 1964.
Does she still have that car?
She still has the car to this day.
Whoa.
Yeah, this many years later, she still has her 65 Ford Mustang. Actually, there was a 64 and a half. Was the original Mustang, and those are even more rare because they had such a limited production on them that the 64 and a half Mustangs were actually more valuable than the 65s. So there you go. A moment in history. Get over it.
Thank you, Glenn. Wow.
Yeah, 1964.
So what are we talking about today, Dave?
I was born in 1964. You want to talk about that?
I was born in 1956. Get over that, too.
You're kind of old.
I am.
You guys are old farts, man. Actually, I was born in 63.
Both of you get
Maybe
over
you're
it.
younger.
I'm the youngest guy here.
Yeah.
Awesome.
The baby of the show, Dave Martin.
There we go.
Hey, usually wherever I go, I'm the oldest guy in the room. So now I like this better. This
Hey,
is
just
great.
just for the record, the three of us are all longtime auto repair facility owners from the Phoenix, Arizona
Market.
Yeah. So and we're proud to say that, and we have things that are unique to our our temperatures and our everything.
Our climate, our area.
They don't apply necessarily to every climate, but there are certain things that just transcend any type of car, any year car, that maintenance things. We're going to be talking a little bit more about that today.
Yeah,
It's exciting.
good, better, best.
Yeah.
And
Good,
this
better,
is,
best.
This is Lee's claim to fame or whatever. He was excited to talk about this. So
Well, I am, because you know what?
And I am too. I think it's an awesome topic, and I think a lot of people have more questions than answers.
And I
it's
hope
gonna
to be able to give those answers.
Absolutely.
You know what I mean? And that's why, like I say, and let me just say this, guys, it really is a privilege to sit here and discuss with you. I admire you tremendously. You guys already know that. I'm not saying anything that I can't say directly to your face, but at the same token, it's always great to get another perspective. You know what I mean? And when we're sharing, and I really believe that's all we do here. So we just share. We're trying to share some knowledge.
Right.
But it was interesting to me to understand, and I heard this said, when people are sitting with their people that they're planning things out, financial planners or whatever, right? And they say, what do I do? How do I do? And then, of course, that's when the real nuggets of information come. You know what I mean? That's when you get this, well, if it was me, I would do this. And I think that's the kind of conversation I'm hoping that we can have today when it comes to the good, better, best, and maintenance. Now, we're going to throw out a few examples.
The real question is, what's ultimately in my own best interest? Because you ask
Exactly.
a financial planner sometimes, and they'll sell you a product that's in their best interest because they're going to make more money, and you're not going to get exactly the best benefit out of it.
But if they're
right?
if they're really good at their job, what they want to do, the one question that we ask our clients and they ask us if they're really good at their job and know what they're doing is, what is your long-term goals?
Bingo.
What are the goals?
Bingo.
And so then they can plan, you know, because if you want to retire at the age of 65, let's just say,
Yeah.
I'm beyond that.
and you want to
already, so
have
forget
X
about
amount
it.
of dollars in the bank,
Right.
there has to be some sort of a
Plan of
guide-
action.
a guide, you
Yeah.
know, a roadmap. There
You
has
bet.
to be a roadmap for that.
You bet.
And otherwise, at 65, you're not going to have what you want, and you're not going to be able to retire, or you know, you just don't have the resources that you.
You're
thought
going to
you
be
would.
living in a one-bedroom apartment by yourself. You
Yeah,
can't
that's
even
what
afford to
mine's
have a
gonna be,
cat anymore.
Well,
you know?
it's possible. It's possible that may be downgraded to a trailer because the apartments are getting pretty expensive.
Yeah, I
anymore.
mean, the cost of living in general in our modern society, and we've just seen a huge jump in the automotive industry of the cost of vehicles and so on because of the EPA regulations and everything else like that, and having to, you know, invent things to save gas and electric cars and everything. None of that stuff comes cheap. It all comes with a price tag. And unfortunately, the vast majority of our populace can't afford to purchase those vehicles new. So what are the options? Well, you buy a used car. So what's the risk of buying a used car? Well, the risks are great. We're not going to cover that topic today.
Yeah,
but
no.
but
Yeah.
you know, the whole thing is it's just this constant metamorphosis of the society itself and the cost of living here. I mean, eggs are what, $8 a dozen right now.
Well,
you
and everybody
know.
has a budget, and you know, and that's the good, better, best thing is so you can budget.
Absolutely.
But you want to get the right information. You want to know what you're getting for good, better, or best.
That's absolutely correct. And I think it all boils down to the proactive engagement that we get to have, you know what I mean? The interaction, if you will,
Right.
you know, with our clients and consumers and people, and about getting the real good information. You know what I mean? A previous podcast, we talked about the manuals and, you know, can you really afford to follow those? You know what I mean? Be careful with that. But what I want to do is talk about you guys, you know what I mean? Let's talk about, we're three mechanics. You know what?
And we're
Glenn, you're right.
consumers too, and we're consumers.
Oh, absolutely.
So we're
Yeah,
right
we are.
right now.
We're-
We're just trying to educate and let people know what we would do.
Right.
What we do in these scenarios.
You bet. Well, so generically, I've picked a couple things, all right, and I shared a couple with them. Some I didn't. There can be surprises because we want this to be, you know, generic. Oil changes. When it comes to oil changes, okay, guys, it is the most common service that is done on a car.
Yep.
Okay,
Most
it's
routine.
It's
Yep.
probably the
Most
one that's
routine.
most well known.
Yep.
But if we apply this good, better, best, what does that look like for the average consumer out there? And then what does it look like for us? So let's Dave, let's start with you. For the average consumer out there, what would be like a good oil change? What would be like an example of a good oil change?
Just basically draining, changing the filter,
Mhm.
putting a decent filter on there,
Mhm.
draining it, and topping off all the fluids.
Good quality inspection.
Well, yeah, and you definitely you in our shops we do that. We inspect every vehicle. It's just part of our process.
And the only reason I threw that in is because I'm going to tell you, good to me, guys, and I just hopefully we can clarify this, but good just means adequate.
Adequate.
Good, it's really kind of just means adequate. It doesn't, you know, that's what it is. So, I mean, the reason I said that is because, man, I don't even understand how you can offer a service that's less than adequate. You know what I mean? In my opinion, you know what I mean? Of course, I'm not right. I don't want you to think that I know something nobody else does. I just don't understand the value proposition for some of these people that pull in the quick 5-minute oil change. Don't get out of your car. I love the marketing thing. I think it's great.
Convenience.
And
It's all, they're selling convenience.
But-
They're not selling. They're just selling convenience. That's
right.
all it
But
is.
the thing of it is what do you get for your dollars?
Right.
You know what I mean? What are you getting for your dollars? Because you walk away with not any more knowledge
Well,
than you had when you
what
walked
kills
in.
me about some of these places, you mentioned the name, I won't repeat it, but you drive up, there's a menu board. They're like you're at McDonald's or Wendy's, and you know, what would you like today? I'd like an oil change. Okay, what kind of filter do you want? I don't know, whatever fits the car. What kind of oil do you want? I'm not sure. I've never looked at my service manual. I don't know. You guys, figure it out.
So even there, you're getting a good, better, best choice.
Well, and then the whole thing's supposed to take 5 or 10 minutes.
Yeah.
And are they looking at your tires? Do you have oil leaks? Do you have other issues with your car that they're not inspecting?
Yeah.
And now you drive off with the peace of mind of thinking, well, I just had my car serviced. Everything must be good. And then sometime in the course of the next few days or weeks, something else goes wrong on your car. And no one looked at your tires. No one looked at the inflation and see if your tire pressure monitor system light was on or any other things, because they're not getting into your car. You're in your car.
Right.
And they're not going there to ask you, hey, what does that thing in my dash mean? Maybe the tech who only knows how to change oil has no clue what that
Goes
is.
right back to what Dave was talking about.
My check engine light's on.
Quick in and out.
I think they see a picture of the check engine lights, a picture of a motor, right? So they think, oh, I must need an oil change.
Yeah.
So they get the oil change, the light's still on. And they don't know why, and they're gonna have to go to a qualified.
Well, let's face it, resetting the lights on some of these cars can be a little bit of a challenge.
Well, it takes more than 5 minutes in some cases.
Yeah.
Well, let's do this. So Dave, your basic oil change, or good, adequate, you know what I mean, would be to, let's call it a pump and fill. You know what I mean? Basically, you're going to do a complete inspection on the car.
And I might let me say one more thing. At these fast oil places, they actually stick a tube down your dipstick thing and they suck the oil out of it. They don't even open the drain plugs. It takes too much time.
No, that I did not know.
They suck it out. And then they
in some cars, that's the only way to do it.
Well, and there's a shield. The shield's underneath there. You got to take down, and it's end up taking longer. And
did they replace a filter?
Apparently.
Yeah, no, I wonder, because in some cars you do have to remove the shields to get the filter. Glenn, let me ask you, what would be?
Or maybe they say it, they do, and they really don't. I mean, I don't know. I've never witnessed one. I should probably take my car then and see if there's a new filter on there when they're done.
That's not a bad idea. We should probably take a look and do that. Glenn, what to you is if I say a better oil change, better than adequate? What would be a better oil change?
Well, better oil change not only would be the comprehensive inspection that we do with the good one, but we do a digital one, which even makes it better. And about 20% of all the shops in the country are using digital inspections.
Only 20?
What? Yeah.
Really? Wow.
What do digital inspections really do? It's becoming a big trend and everything, but the cost that's associated with the equipment to do it, the tablets, the technology, and the programs themselves, which you have to buy, and you pay a monthly fee for, an annual fee. So what does it do? It instills a sense of trust and honesty, because I can tell you, hey, you got bad ball joints, you got your shocks are leaking or whatever. I have no proof. All right. So someone may be selling you shock absorbers and you don't need them. They're just selling them because, hey, it makes them money, right? If I show you a picture of your shock or
your car, though, you're talking about their vehicle.
Right. Yeah. Absolutely. Yeah.
I love that. Not just some generic photo.
This is their car. We take exterior pictures, interior pictures. If there's lights on in the dash, we take pictures of it.
That's vital.
And then we recommend we need to do some diagnostics and find out why that light is on, okay?
Yeah.
Sometimes it's plain and simple, but we do have all the equipment to check and see, do you have a dead tire pressure sensor? Or your check engine light's on, and we can do just a quick scan and say, okay, you got a problem in this system. It doesn't define what needs to be done. It just tells you, okay, there's a problem in this system. Yeah. It's a start, though. At least they know, can I drive the car? Yeah, you can still drive the car. Like you have an evaporative leak in your gas tank. Yeah, you can drive the car for another 100,000 miles with that light on.
Like that.
Nevertheless, But the better inspection, the better is really having a comprehensive overview of what's going on with your car. I think people deserve that.
Absolutely.
I mean, it's an insult to think that I can drive into a place and 10 minutes later I drive out and I have this feeling that everything is good, because the people were nice and they smiled and, I know I got my oil change and everything, but at the end of the day, what about the rest of my car? What if I have a bad wheel bearing, or I have, and you can, move the wheel back and forth. Your wheels are out of alignment. Your tires are worn out. You could drive 50 miles and your tire explodes. Well, they don't do tires, so why would they even go there? Right?
Yeah, I think it all boils down to once again what is the consumer's desire?
Right. What are your long-term goals?
Yeah.
What is it? And potential breakdowns. Glenn alluded to that. And the thing of it is we want to make sure that we don't see your car in the back of a tow truck. So we want to do everything in our power to make sure that we do those digital vehicle inspections, and we all do them here, because it really is definitely a value.
Yeah.
And
Value add.
also, it
So,
helps.
so Betters, would you like to supersell those French fries? Would you like the bigger French fries? I mean,
Well, see, now for me, I look at it like this, and this is how I maintain my car. You know, I have a 2015 Toyota Tundra. You know what I mean? It's got 140,000 miles on it, but I use we use a premium filter. You know what I mean? We use good oil. You know what I mean? In every one of these.
well, speaking of premium filters, I have one right here on the desk. I'm just going to throw this in for what it's worth. This is what the inside of an oil filter looks like. And you see, I mentioned in a previous podcast about these pleats. Well, this is folded cardboard or paper, whatever.
Mm-hmm.
And this is what filtrates the oil. As it goes through, it catches all the dirt and contamination and stores it in the filter. Eventually, these pleats will get plugged, but a cheap filter, this one probably has 60, 70 pleats in it. A cheap oil filter may have as little as 8 or 10. So how much filtration can it take before it's not filtrating anything, and that contaminated oil is just going back and circulating?
It becomes what they call saturated. So
Saturated.
Yeah. Well, and then so back to the oil change, we add some things to the oil. You know what I mean? That are basically some of those enhancements that I was talking about previously. We use a BG product called MOA. And I will tell you what.
And it pre-cleans first. There's 2 cans, right?
Absolutely.
One is the pre-cleaner, which dislodges all the sludge and gorp that's in your engine,
and you run
make
that prior
sure
to
that it
draining
goes
the oil.
out when you drain the oil. Exactly.
See, we run that prior to draining the oil. You know what I mean? You heat it up and allow it to do its job. And then after we replace the oil, then we put in the MOA that really, it's funny, but people wonder, what does MOA really do? You know what I mean? Well, in a quart of oil, all right, you only have about 10% of conditioners and emollients. The rest of it is basically straight pump from the ground. You know what I mean? That hasn't changed in 2,000 years, guys. You know what I mean? But those conditioners and emollients and things that are added to it, those are the things that have had the real breakthroughs. And so when you add the MOA, that's like adding a whole can of those conditioners and emollients, you know what I mean, to your oil. And what it does, it helps to dissipate heat. One of the biggest things that I appreciate more than anything else is it helps to dissipate the heat. And so you know what?
Heat destroys. I mean,
absolutely.
plain
breaks
and
down
simple.
everything.
Yep.
And also too, we use the MOA too, and another thing it does too is it keeps the rubber seal softer.
You absolutely are correct.
And what happens?
Conditioners and emollients.
Yeah, because what happens is that rubber gets hard.
You bet.
And once it gets hard, then it
petrified.
Then pretty soon you're going to end up with a leak.
Yeah.
And so if
ever have to put a rear main in your vehicle, rear main seal, a rear main crankshaft seal, well, you got to pull the transmission or the engine, whichever is easier.
Yeah.
But you're talking about a job that can take anywhere from 4 to 17 hours, depending on what kind of vehicle you have.
And several $100,000 or $1,000, you know what I mean, when you go to actually do the work. So
adding these additives,
but the reason why,
it's preventative.
Like, even as something as simple as oil changes, you know what I mean, there is a good, better, best that can be applied. And you could apply any one of these at any time. But once again, going back to, the financial planner, if I'm going to do a long-term goal and I want to end up, you know what I mean, with a pot of gold at the end, so to speak, or I want to drive my vehicle for 500,000-600,000 miles, which I do, you know what I mean? I'm not saying that has to be your desire, but that's mine.
Yeah, mine
You know
too.
what I mean? Then I want to do what it's going to be necessary now to
Right.
do
So from the value aspect, though, you're spending about $30 for these 2 chemicals to be added to your oil. What does it cost to pull an engine or a transmission to reseal it, reseal your engine?
Great example.
I mean, that you're talking about, like I said, it could be anywhere from $3,000 to $10,000, depending on what kind of vehicle you own. So, geez, spending 30 now or thousands later. I mean,
well, and on the flip side
it's
of that,
a no-brainer.
I mean, and this is just another caveat, but I mean, on the flip side of that, by being proactive and using the chemicals with BG, there's also an additional warranty that, you know what I mean, goes along with it. So if I do have a problem later on, I get to, you know what I mean, engage that warranty as long as I do it consistently. You know what I mean? Which, why would you start if you're not going to do it?
Well, yeah, and to put things in a real practical human deal, if you eat garbage all your life, you're eating junk food and everything, the complications of what's going to happen to your organism over a period of time, cholesterol buildup, heart attacks, whatever it is that's going to happen as a result. So anything that you can do to clean up your act and eat right and eat, people who live a long time eat healthy diets. That's a proven fact. I'm not trying to sell you a product here. I'm just telling you that abuse over a period of time will take its toll on anything, right?
Yeah.
And so you use good products, you eat right, whatever. There's a great parity here in the human body and the automobile.
As things generally would have it, you know what I mean? We've spent a lot of time, you know what I mean, talking about one specific arena, which is oil changes. But I hope that it kind of nails or drives home the point that, you know what, in the very basic things, you know what I mean, of life, and the very basic things of automotive maintenance and repair, oil changes, you know what I mean, you have options, you know what I mean, and the options that you choose will generally lead you to where you want to go based on what your, you know what I mean, target and focus. What is your goal?
So good, better, best. We're talking about other components.
Yeah. The thing of it is what I think we should probably do is maybe break some of these down, probably in future podcasts, just based on the fact that we've spent some time, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Oh,
going
you're
with
telling
oil
me
changes.
you're timing me out already?
I'm saying that, you know what, it's fascinating when we start
I think our
talking.
No, you're
Yeah.
right.
I think our producer's already telling us
Yeah.
that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So and
She's giving us the big T over here.
But I do want to bring up one thing, and this
We
is
love
something-
you, Olivia.
and this is something that you brought up. We are consumers too. You know what I mean? And that's in everything. And
Spend your money
even-
wisely. That's what we're trying to say.
But get the
absolutely.
but-
Thank you.
But get the information. Get
There's
the
no
information.
millionaire sitting
Know
at this
what you-
table.
Yeah, know what you're getting
Spend what
for
you got wisely.
what you're getting, and make sure your goals are aligned with the shop's goals.
You
know
bet.
What I mean?
You
want to
bet.
make sure that hey, we're on the same page. We want to make sure we're on. And then Glenn brought up health. It's the same thing when you go to your doctor. You know, I mean, what do you want? You know?
See, I like to put it like this, and a lot of people say, well, I want a return on investment. You know what? And I'm thinking to myself, cars don't work like that to some degree. You know what I mean? Because cars depreciate, as we've already talked about, alluded to.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Cars appreciate.
But I'll guarantee you, go to sell your used
but-
car and it's been taken
but-
care of, you're going to get a hell of a lot more money for it than
Right.
you handed some
But you know why?
engine smoking piece of stuff.
Do you know why? Because I believe goes right to what Dave was talking about, and this is return on relationship.
Yeah.
All right.
Yeah.
You know what? When you build that
Absolutely.
relationship with your technician, with your mechanic, with, you know what I mean, your auto repair facility, and you go back and you consistently build a plan of action, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
And you follow that good, better, best program, you know what I mean? You're going to get what your expectation is. And you know what? In most cases, it'll be exceeded. Your expectation can be exceeded. And I'll tell you what, nothing thrills me more than that, to be able to look at something, plan it ahead of time, you know, prepare for it, and then budget for it. And then all of a sudden my expectation is exceeded, so I can get another year or two, or, you know, the surprise at the end is exciting. It makes all the effort really that much more advantageous.
Absolutely. Yep. Yeah.
Right. And for the consumer out there, you know, we're not asking you to come to our shops. You may live in another state, in
Absolutely.
another, whatever.
Absolutely.
What we're saying is find out, look at reviews, find out how long these people have been in business, what their customers are saying about them. If they're a trustworthy place that you can give your loyalty to, that's what you need to do, and stick with it.
Absolutely. And make sure you get a good quality inspection. I mean, I can't tell you what I believe the value, you know, in our shop, we give the inspection away. All right.
Yeah,
and I'm going
and
to tell you what, sometimes
it's
that means it gets underestimated from value, but I'm going to tell you what, I don't think there's one thing that is more valuable than that inspection. And then providing the information, you know what I mean, that you learn from that inspection. I got to be
It
honest
gives
with
the
you.
consumer
Ooh.
peace of mind.
Well, and this is-
Absolutely.
You know
That's what
exactly
it's designed for.
what you need now, what you're going to need in the next visit, and what you're going to need in the next year.
Well, and we started out this
You can
podcast
plan.
with good, better, best. And the thing of it is we'll wrap this thing up after this is the thing of it is the good, better, best on the oil change is something so simple. I mean, it's one of those things that it is the most frequent thing you do in your car to keep your basically engine running smooth and keep everything lubricated like it should be. And there is a difference. There's just a huge difference, and I guess that's the moral of the story here is there's a difference in what you're getting depending on where you go.
If we could behave, you know what I mean, in future podcasts, let me just throw a teaser out there, okay? Because I've got some other things written: transmission fluid, tires, batteries, coolants, those kinds of things. How can we apply the good, better, best scenarios to those?
Yeah.
And I hope we can visit that at some point. But I got a fun quote for you.
All right.
I think you guys will like this, okay? Guys, good, better, best is what we're talking about, right?
All right.
Never let it rest until your good is better and your better is best.
Who said that?
Sir Francis? Yeah, Sir Francis.
I love it.
Yeah, pretty awesome.
Thank you, Sir Francis.
Yeah.
Words to live by.
Good quote. I like that.
Yeah.
Well, good to see you guys, and I'm looking forward to seeing the next podcast. And have a great day, man.
Great to be with you guys.
Later.
Thank you.